So this is the project that opens up when you start a new project, but we want to start from a blank page, or a blank project. So just go under File and then New Level, and select this default level. So we want to start from scratch, but we don't want to start from an empty space. So it's still filled in with a few things. It comes with a sky dome and a sky sphere, some lighting setup. You can see some clouds there. That's enough for now. So again, this is not a totally beginner project, a totally beginner tutorial. We're trying to get through some of the basics. I guess mostly this is going to be about setting up the materials in Unreal Engine more than how Unreal Engine works. So yeah, so since we have already exported our FBX file, we can start importing it in. So I can go and import. We'll get this dialog, and then you can navigate to where you have the project saved. So I'll find that. So this should be in Fab. What did we save it as? Export FBX. Okay, so we've exported it in Modern House to Unreal in a folder called Unreal. So Modern House to Unreal. So this is the project. You hit import. It will load up a lot of things, and then just hit import all, and it should load up all the models. It will bring a few errors, but you can ignore them. So you can see we have the materials imported, and we have the objects imported. The good thing about this FBX format is that we export one file, but on importing that file in Unreal Engine, you can see that all the meshes have been separated into different objects. So if I double click any of these, I can open the editor and view that object. So another thing to note is that when you open a project, when you import the meshes, depending on the direction of the normals, you will be seeing only one side of that face. Where the faces are where the normals are you will be seeing the normals. You'll be seeing the faces where the normals are facing. So you can see all the faces on the inside are not visible because the normals are facing the opposite direction. That is, I think, an optimization trick that Unreal Engine uses to optimize your scene and make your scene lighter and easy to render. But we want to render all the faces, both sides of the faces, and the easier way to do that is by applying a material that renders both faces. So yeah, let's first do some cleanup here. Since these are some materials that were imported from Blender, but they don't usually they're not imported correctly, and they don't come with the textures, they don't come with anything, they just come as a single other color value, nothing else. So let's just select them, then I'll delete them. Again, if you want these project files, you'll find that on my Patreon page, and yeah, so I'll delete that. So in this part, let's see how to correct this. So if I drag this into my scene, you can see I can see the outside parts, but I can't see the inside parts because the normals are facing outside, and Unreal is just rendering the faces where the normals are facing. So let me delete this, and also delete this flow. And so if you want, let me first show you that a way to correct this, and then in part 2 we'll start bringing in everything so that we can start arranging everything so that we have the same setup as we see here. So To make sure that, I mean, just duplicated this. So to make sure that the insides are also being rendered, just create a new material. So you right click and then click on new material. I'll call this walls. And what you want to do is double click on that to open up the editor, the material editor. And under here in these material settings, you should see two-sided. Click on that and you should be done. Then save. It takes a bit of time to compile the shader. So yep. Okay, now that we are done with that, we just need to apply this here, and you can see now the insides can also be seen. So if you want to make these white walls, you just double click here, and you can right click to open up the search. And the what would be the equivalent of let me shift A, diffuse, not the diffuse, maybe shift A. What would be the equivalent of this mix RGB color, so that you have this color value that you can just feed in here, or what would be equivalent to the base color here, this option here, because you can see we don't really get that option directly here. So the way to change the base color here, you just right click to get this search feature, and you can find a function called vector parameter. This will give you the color values. You can see we have these nodes. The first node is a combined values, RGB values, and then you have the different channels of the color separated here, red, green, and blue, and then you have the alpha channel as well at the bottom there. So then you just connect this to the base color, and then you can double click to find the color picker. After you change the color here, also make sure that the value you also change the value, otherwise when you just leave it like that, the color will remain black. So double click, make it white, or make the value up, and then you can change the color like that. So it takes a while for this for Unreal to compile shaders. So let's see, we save like that. Also, another thing I might want to mention is that Unreal Engine materials work different from Blender, and so Unreal Engine has this feature called blueprints which lets you create instructions of how the material is set up, the main material is set up, and you can duplicate instances of that material, and that will let you make changes easily. I guess I'll show you that in another video, but for now, make sure you save. Give it a moment. And instead of clicking this, you can just minimize by just closing that tab there. You can see we have our mesh. So for the navigation buttons, if you don't know how to use them, you can just use Alt and then right click and then left click to pan around your view. You can also hold down Alt and then right click to zoom in or zoom out. You can hold down left click and then use Shift to move around your scene. Let me see. Yeah, I'm still also getting used to this, as you can see, but yeah, so those are some basic moves. So in the next lesson, we're going to bring up everything so that we can set them up to look exactly like how we see it there. So thank you.